I can read real quick. No employee, officer, or agent of the owner shall participate in the selection, award, or administration of a contract supported by rural development if a conflict of interest, real or apparent, would be involved.
I got you. All right. Motion's been made and duly seconded. Roll call vote starting with Mr. Almond.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Unfinished business number 9. I asked for this to be on the agenda I don't want any action. I just want y'all to think about this. And I know I took a picture in my other capacity of a pedestrian walking along the Clay's Garden side of the sidewalk, of the lack of sidewalk on South Main Street. Mr. Michael Bagley has very consistently said he worries that if we build it on that side of the street, that people will still continue to walk on the east side of the street.
And
The
they
town
probably-
manager has wisely pointed out that the budget would be double or triple to put sidewalk on the Clay's Garden side or the lack of east side because of the utility removal, the lack of slope.
And the very steepness.
But I just want council to think about this. I'm gonna tell you right now, I've never seen public opinion run so strong. It's either two answers. Only do the east side of Main Street or do both. I do worry no matter how much VDOT comes in here and says, now look, this is safe. We've got the push button devices out here in front of Walmart. The worst thing for this town council or the next town council will be to have the street widen, the sidewalk out there across from Goodwill, and there comes mama in the baby stroller, the same way she's always walked. Or the old veteran.
I think you do both now.
I just worry, like I said,
I'll give you some numbers. Now, these aren't.
what are they? I mean,
Jack
somebody,
Hodge, gosh knows how long been since Jack been around, since probably 2014,
Yeah.
2015. His estimate to me was $4 million to put curb and gutter and sidewalk on the east side because of the slope. I see some of the comments on Facebook, but it really is dramatic in front of Clay's. It's very dramatic over near the brick sign, and any relocation of utilities that would be required over there. Now, that was also because it was a 6-year planned project, like a VDOT administered project.
This is
which
revenue
probably
sharing.
It drives the cost up.
whose utilities are they? Are they town poles or Southside Electric poles?
No, I think those are Shintel poles, but look at what's on them. It's just stacked.
Right.
It's not so much, I talked to
Communications
Philip
of it.
today, it's not so much the pole relocation, in my opinion, as trust me, I'm the one that cuts the grass in front of Clay's Garden Center. I would wish it would go away forever.
Right.
But that cost is gonna be tremendous. It'll never happen. I mean,
Jason
we've been-
Walker's
we've been waiting
estimate for
20
the
years.
curb and gutter on the west side, this is Jason Walker measuring and wheeling, and this has been a year or two ago, was $800,000 on the west side.
As
How
opposed
would
to
we,
4 million.
how would we pay for it? I mean, this would, at $8 million, that would have to be a rate increase somewhere, wouldn't it?
$8 million? 800,000.
800,000 is just for the west side, correct?
For the west side, what we would anticipate doing is, one, when we adopt a capital project, put $25,000 or $30,000 like we do for floors at the fire station or roofs. But I think we would need to match it in part with some VDOT money. They give you this year they're giving you $306,000 a quarter to do street improvements. And those paving projects that you guys just approved, those would be paid for 100% with VDOT money.
Forgive me, what was the east side estimate?
East side estimate, according to Jack Hodge, probably in 2014 or 15 was about $4 million.
So, double it today.
6, 8.
Yeah.
It could be way more, yeah.
That money's gotta come from
I
somewhere.
think, and I do agree that yes, the obvious side that it would work on
Oh,
would
yeah.
be
Is that why you
the
didn't do
east
it?
side. But it'll never get done. We won't be able to afford it.
We didn't do it at first. That project has been on the daggone 6-year plan, that mythical 6
Forever.
Oh, before I got here.
Correct. My only reason to bring on the agenda, Philip, is this, is I just want council to be aware, you can't be held hostage by public opinion, but a lot of times when it's so strong, they're not wrong. And Mr. Bagley has been saying it for months.
He's 100% correct.
And I would just assume, like I said, I'd rather as much as this sounds horrible, I'd rather have status quo, where, by the way, knock on wood, no one's been hit by a car, even though it's a nail biter, than to go out there and spend whatever it is and go, oh, look at a nice sidewalk, and
But
there goes the person, because it's shorter.
So then we're gonna wait until someone does get killed or
before we
injured
do anything.
before we do anything, when we should at least give them the option to have it on the opposite side of the road. I feel like it's we already just did it up 10th Street, so why do we even do that?
Where was where was 10th Street?
The new
On
project
the
we
west
just
side.
did.
And we put the sidewalk on the west side in front of
Oh,
Richard Eaton's home.
correct, yeah.
Is because there was already a hopscotch of sidewalk down
That's
through
right.
there. There was probably half of it was already done, and we just kind of filled in the gaps.
I mean, and not to, I have a business on the opposite side of the street as well, but not to demean Goodwill or O'Reilly's, but they have patrons as well. I mean, I saw 4 teenagers walking on the opposite side of the street with skateboards in hand last week. So people still walk on the opposite side. Yes, more walk on the east side, but it's just when you catch certain ones. Yes, this picture happened to catch one walking on the beaten path.
Right, it's a beaten
But if
path.
there's a sidewalk on the other side, hopefully we use our sense and say, let's go to that. Let's transfer to that side.
It may be, and it may come whenever that future time is. And let's face it, we're talking a couple years, 3 years. It may be that we have to put. You may not walk on this right of way. This right of way is prohibited for pedestrians.
If you remember, the plan originally is to put a third lane down there. You guys may remember when
Yeah, the wide. That's right.
when the folks did that. This project that we're talking about on the west side doesn't put a third lane in. It widens it some. I think you had agreed in your rezoning of the 10 or 12 feet. So it'll push it back some, but you're still not gonna get your third lane. I think the third lane needs to come with a more concerted effort for revenue sharing or different kind of VDOT programs and grant fundings. I'm not proposing to use any grant funding. I think I can tell you, and I think Jennifer will concur, VDOT grant funding comes with a lot of strings attached.
Strings, yeah.
And
We
it,
applied for Smart Scale, and we got turned down. That was the same year they approved
That's right.
the roundabout out at Pickett.
Oh, really? That's right.
That one, but
And-
denied our, we didn't score high enough. We had letters from past C people.
That's
We
right.
got-
I just want y'all to be aware. I know y'all are aware. I will say that we had a picture in the paper. It dropped on social media, and I was just blown away. Wow, I was like, wow, it was thunderous. It was everything Michael Bagley has said, and then some. And it basically boiled down to one side or both sides. And again, you don't run your life by Facebook, but I do worry about the. I'd hate to see the council, the future council, go to that trouble, and then it be.
I just think the cost is prohibitive.
The money is obviously the wisest course from a strictly financial standpoint is what you've got proposed. There's no doubt about it. But then again, I will say this though: we often, all of us, myself included, use that fictitious example or the hypothetical of someone dying, and we got to do something because someone may die. When you look at the safety record, and this is true, these are facts I look at from VDOT. At 10th and Main, 11,000 vehicles per day. Tell me the number of crashes I've covered more crashes in town all over places than there. When you look at the number of vehicles that go there a day, the place where I get the maddest is if you're sitting there at 10th Street, which we've widened.
Waiting, right.
Someone's coming from Walmart, they want to make a left turn. They just got to shave your car. They don't know how to go out and make a 90-degree turn. But we get along pretty well there. But I just throw that out for informational. And the next council and next mayor will be more than capable of handling that. But y'all are in tune, and we'll move on to ongoing projects with Mr. Nash mentioned this earlier, 415 Oak Street, declared blighted.
It was declared blighted.
We now own
and
it.
We own it. The property owner surrendered it. Didn't have to go to court or anything like that. I talked to Wallace, our resident in town house demolisher, and he's not comfortable tearing it down. He says it's just too tall. He's scared that he's going to knock it onto somebody else's house. So I think we're going to have to pay a contractor to tear it down. Now remember, the sale of the property is intended to cover the cost of the asbestos abatement, which is going to be large. It's going to be about $9,000 to get the asbestos off this house because it's all outside asbestos siding. Okay, and then the contractor on top of that. And it's our expectation that would be about $20,000 to tear it down and have the asbestos abated. And we have an expectation the sale of the property would provide that plus some legal fees. I think if you look back on some of Tessie's bills, there've been some invoices.
No liens transferred.
There was no lien recorded. Nothing. I
Clean-
did the title
clean
search
property,
myself.
clean lot.
Yeah, it was clean.
All right, well, members of council, you want authorization to remove the asbestos, demolish it, and
Ultimately listed for sale.
list it for sale, make sure we recover our costs.
And
Mr. Morgan has moved, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Nash is second. Any further discussion? I need a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Almond.
I,
Motion carries 5-0. You have an update on your meals and lodging tax, and we got one outstanding lodging tax and 2 outstanding meals tax. Is that still the case?
Yes, excuse me.
Bless you.
Yes.
All right.
How far?
How- yeah,
outstanding?
The 20th of the month is Thursday. Are they fixing to go 3 months?
Brittany has been off, since Friday, and so I checked with her Thursday when I was working on the packets, and that was still the case. The one that's outstanding, I think we talked last month, they were gonna be 3 months behind September 20th. And,
I did see them in the office today, I just don't know how much they paid.
okay,
All right. Okay. Stay on that. I know everybody will. We have, number 3, we have the street improvement project, the South Main. We're getting near the finish line.
And there's the finish line. The final project for everybody who has South Main fatigue is the end of November. Believe it or not, they have until the end of November to be fully complete. That means
October
grass planting-
29th to be substantially complete.
Substantially complete, and I believe we are substantially complete. The construction work is done. Once we pave this week, it will be substantially complete. I should correct myself. The fill, the seating, those kinds of things would take us to full completion.
Which is what date?
November 26th, I think it is.
How about the traffic calming devices on Pickett Court?
They will be installed this week, or the contractors will be here this week, and we have an expectation they will. I don't want to give Ms. Lax.
That's 4 of them, right?
It's 4 of them. Yeah.
I tell you what, I have to say, I'm a fan of them, but the one on Lindenberg Avenue is kind of getting a little old now. And the Expedition is no problem. In my little small car, it's getting a little old.
Plan is to take them up as soon as the paving's done, because they're going to have to do some flagging and things. So my plan was to take them up as soon as the paving is done.
Do we have a expectation for that date, for the completion, not the start?
What is today? 17th, 24th, the 29th of October. I think you'll have the paving done, whatever that Friday is.
Is there any way, I know obviously they have until the end of November, but people such as Mr. Donito and Mr. Wilson, if we're gonna be putting grass seed and stuff down,
Need to get done.
November is,
I agree.
can we ask them to push that up?
We can certainly ask them.
I feel like that should be, we've allowed them to make a complete mess of those areas. Let's try to get these things shaken
They
up.
made a mess in front of the church, and they've come back and.
Yeah.
But I'll ask them if they'll come.
Now is ideal for grass growing. If we wait another month, this will be an issue.
Did you see that excavator?
Doesn't fall
Watch
over.
them lower one of those big concretes and watch the back of that excavator just lift up off the
Oh, yeah.
ground. I said, "Man, I thought it was gonna topple down.
There's cleanup to be done still. Ricky Barksdale's asked me to move some of that stone and get that riprap aligned a little better, and a couple things like
Just
that.
see if we can get some of that.
I will do my best to get them over here.
Moving right along, we have update on Wrigglesworth Sports Complex. They're gonna install antique lighting.
Striping downtown, just so you know, when they stripe South Main, same crew's gonna do downtown.
Well, it's funny, at first people were fussing about it, but really, there's hadn't really been any
The
problem.
only thing I've seen is that without parking spaces and the actual T-bar that comes out, people park further out into
From the curb.
street, from the curb.
I've actually had people call me and say, don't stripe it,
All right.
because let people be a little more variable, so when the trucks come in, they get out of the way. But I don't know. The plan is to stripe it just like it was,
You're
and
never gonna please
Put a
everybody in
dotted line
Blackstone,
in the
that's for
middle so
sure.
you can pass on me.
That's right, that's what we need to do, pass.
exactly.
People will pass me all the time.
Let's see, we've got, Wrigglesworth update that, we're putting light poles or antique lighting around the football field. Turf has been replanted and fertilized, and we believe we'll be able to play games there, Mr. Miller, next year.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Okay, it was brought to my attention this weekend.
Okay.
They are not stadium lights.
Right. We got to
So-
put up stadium lights. Too.
You gonna put?
Yeah, if you read this, it says upon completion of the stadium lighting.
Okay.
We took them down,
Yeah. Okay.
and we got to put them back up.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
no,
'Cause
those
they
are-
asked me about it this
No,
weekend.
those are
They're
just
only doing
decorative.
antique lights.
Right. Right.
Drive by there tonight. The antique lights are on the football field all the way around. So
All right.
hopefully somebody feels safe walking
so the antique lights are up?
Yeah.
and burning.
Yeah, they burning.
On the East End project, you've got 2 homes on Fitzgerald Street and Harris Street that should be completed in the next 30 days.
One of them is under roof, and the other one's got about a third of a roof put on. And contractors were working on the Fitzgerald Street house today. There is a house on Broad Street being renovated, and then the property owner had to get all their belongings out of the house, and they have done so. And the contractors will return and work on the inside of the house. There is one new home on Fitzgerald Street that has been cleared of all personal belongings, and asbestos contractors are supposed to come in and go ahead and remove the asbestos, and then the home will be demolished after that.
What about
And then
Miss
a new one
Good's
built.
house?
Pardon?
Is that Miss Good's house?
It is.
Okay.
And then that would make 10 homes in the East End, and there's one left to go for the rehab board to make
Is
a
that in,
decision on.
just in phase two, 10 homes?
Phase two, there's 11 dwellings that were supposed to be renovated or built new, and this accounts for 10. So we got one left.
One more to
Very
do.
good. Moving right along to Taylor Bottom, nothing to report. I know Chastity's been working on the planning aspect of that. On the Armory, you are asking for the town to seek $581,000 in grant funds for renovation. This would be from the Tobacco Commission.
That is correct.
And you also, I believe, this ad, you're advertising this week for,
Asbestos abatement.
right, so,
And I say I'm prepared to solicit. I have sent Billy the ad, and we can pull that if there's a problem with council. But that grant, the $250,000 grant, we got to get on with it. And Francis Gilmore actually put together the scope of work, and he recommended taking the lead-based paint apart from the asbestos. So I'm going to modify my request and ask for authorization to solicit the asbestos, the lead-based paint, and the underground storage tank, and go ahead and get this. I'm gonna have to wait another month to come back and ask you guys. Okay.
all right.
So it'll be
You've seen the
3
town
different
manager's
items.
request.
So moved.
Mr. Nash has moved and Mr. Morgan is second to adopt the resolution for us to seek the money from the Tobacco Commission. We have some friends of the commission. And I do want to take this opportunity. I've had a number of people message me, Billy, have you heard about so-and-so's gonna buy the Army, blah, 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 blah.
got it.
And I have assured
I think
them, I
everybody
said,
got it.
watch the town council video tonight, look at the classified ads, you know, you just can't put out every fire, but it's amazing how they just rekindle from
I
time
think
to
there've been
time.
some concerns about maybe some of these developers, these hotels. The plan is not to sell, I don't think we're eligible for grants if
Right.
we necessarily sell the property.
Mr. Patel wants to have a hand or be advising some of the curriculum,
Right.
which would help maybe provide staff for his facilities,
He
which,
wants to hire, and I think Mr. Miller was at our big powwow with Virginia State and Callion, and what they want to do is make sure there's, one, not a competitive
right.
situation between a town-owned building for $500 and him having a wedding venue for much more than that. And so what we're trying to do is get him in there so he'll hire those employees as quickly as possible and we can get them.
Motion's been made and duly seconded to pursue the grant. There's no local match for the
I
tobacco?
think the match that is required is already shown in the application, which it would be 2.25 of ARPA money. I think the town has already put $32,000 in preliminary,
So we've already met the match.
and so there's no additional match.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed?
Does that motion include him advertising for the bids also?
All three,
For the
all three
asbestos
elements.
remediation?
Yeah, all three of them.
Yes.
So it includes adopting the resolution and,
Advertising for the asbestos remediation, yes.
Before you move on, back to Taylor's Bottom real quick. I didn't ask about this earlier because I thought it would be on the Taylor Bottom. There's a bill for Cornelius Walton for $16,228, and it just says Taylor Bottom.
That is a half payment to a contractor who renovated a home in Taylor Bottom using program income funds. When everybody pays their monthly bill, we keep it aggregated, and that is a program income home that was on Carver Street. And put a
The
roof
Maddox
on it.
home, right?
Pardon?
Was it the Maddox home?
Maddox house.
Okay.
So that's a 50% draw.
Gotcha. Okay.
And what it was it's an elderly lady living in a home. Roof wasn't all that hot, but more than anything, we put a handicap bathroom on there. That was the biggest part of it.
Gotcha.
And that's what it was.
No, good question. Moving along to weatherization, the home at 816 Fall Street's been demolished.
It's gone, and there's 4 corners pinned, and we're waiting for somebody to come dig a footer. And that house and all of its contents are gone.
I
And,
think somebody said he's gonna come out out of rehab in a couple of weeks.
yeah, he's had some health issues recently, and
Does the town own that lot now as well? What,
that's a weatherization home.
weatherization? Okay.
And that is town money from last fiscal year and this fiscal year that we combined to do one
So
house.
we're gonna build a new home there.
Brand new home, 2-bedroom home. The bids have already been received. $84,500 Divine Builders. I think we
Okay.
approved it at the
Yes.
last council
Is
meeting.
this the one where the tree fell through the middle?
Yeah. Is that that one?
This is a house that had a blue tarp on it with tires holding the tarp down for a
All
long
the way
time.
down on the
The
end
one
of
with the tree that fell through the middle of it.
yeah.
I provided Tessie the final documentation, hopefully that that individual has signed an agreement and let us tear it down because it's condemned. But he didn't notarize the signature. And it's been almost 6 months since he sent that to us, and I just can't proceed on without a notarized signature because sure enough, he's going to come back and say, I didn't give you permission, or I didn't sign it. And no response, no call back. Tessie's written him letters, nothing. So Tessie's going to take him to court for a condemned building.
Okay, and not to belabor, only because we're on that topic, I know about 2 or 3 months ago, we heard a very impassioned appeal from Taylor Wolf, or the Wolf Home on South Main Street.
And I can tell you, at this time, we do not have access to a grant funds. We don't have it. What we do have is the intention to apply for something called a scattered sites, but we haven't even put the application in.
That's $2 million or something, right?
Gosh, I think you're eligible for that amount, but we haven't even submitted an application.
I mean, we had talked about possibly, sadly, and she agreed that demolishing her family home and building in its place a much more modest structure would not be in keeping with the architecture of South Main, but it's just a tough situation with the health situation they've had. And
I think with local funds, and you can do it with weatherization funds or something like that, but with the local funds, there's gonna be a payment back. And you gotta make sure that you're making, everybody else makes a weatherization payment. Now, albeit some are smaller than others, but everybody has a payment to make.
So, okay, so we had a total of $100,000 in weatherization this year, right?
From last fiscal year and
In
this
this
fiscal year.
fiscal year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the elders' house is not considered as a part of that because came from a different fund, right?
The house on Patterson Street?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually money that the county gave.
county gave us, right,
They
right.
had been holding over $100,000 from an old project of program income. And we asked them, well, if you're not gonna use it, can we have some of it? And it took 6 months or 8 months or whatever, but they finally cut us a check.
She said, she told me to try it again. She said, tell you to try it again.
There's over $100,000 still sitting there.
So does that money that, once that home is built, that goes back to their program income money, correct?
I think the agreement says it does go back to,
Not,
I think it does go back to them.
Because it came from Nottaway.
Yeah, that's fine.
But what you're saying is for those that inquire about the Wolf Home on South Main Street, we're well aware of the sensitive circumstances. We don't anticipate really any change for probably a year or so.
6 months.
Okay.
Give me 6 months.
It's
I'll
because
keep on beating on it. I promise. I'll keep on looking at them. I like building houses, and it's not the
I'm gonna
greatest
throw
looking thing
another
on
one
Main
out
Street.
there, and I hate doing this, but I just think this, I try to drive different streets. I think you need to look at Fifth and Brunswick. There's a house there
It's
that,
pretty tough.
that I've seen it. I've seen interior structural components from the outside.
Not good. And I'll tell you another one that we've been working on is at High in Dinwiddie. A tree in an ice storm.
Well, have you seen it in the last 2 days?
I know there's still a tree back on
Another
there.
tree fell.
Another tree fell on it. It's in pretty bad shape, and property owner hasn't taken a lot of steps. What I've been trying to do is do one at a time, but they seem to be coming faster than one at a time. So we got Oak Street almost exercised, and see if we can do that. And we got Fifth Street taken care of, so that worked out okay. So take on the next one.
Just put that on your radar. Ride by there and look at it sometime. Just, they're good folks. I
it's
know.
not
I
great.
talked to them. They were gonna renovate the house 2 years ago, and just, I've not seen it, and, just,
There is some neighbor talk, yeah.
yeah, there's buzz there. Under new business, we have a request from the family of the late Anita Wilburn, a fine lady, and they request simply to put a small upright stone in their family plot. These are the type of requests that have come before council that
It's
we,
a 2-grave section, and there's already an upright stone for, I don't know if it's a grandmother, but a relation for Rose Wilburn, I think. There's already an upright stone, which was centered on that single grave, or that particular grave. They'd like to put that stone that you see, and it may be a little smaller, but it's gonna look an awful lot like that, onto Anita's grave. So they would have 2 upright stones when
I ask
ordinance
this every time, but it would still be in line
on the north-south
north-south line.
axis, yep.
I move to approve the request.
is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Morgan is seconding Mr. Nash's motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries 5-0. Under committee referrals, you got 2 that I'm going in blind here now. Payment agreements and extensions.
Just, I think Brittany just wants some direction on how many can be given out. I think
Normally it's 2 a year, isn't it?
Well, I think that she's got some folks that are on payment agreements, significant numbers of payment agreements, consistently over and over, and I think that's the biggest thing that she'd like to have some clarity on.
What is the current policy?
It's 2 a year.
2 a year?
I think as long as they're current, but somebody had asked, do you have an official policy of that? And I don't know what she gave them or what you guys have adopted.
And she's come up with a policy. I just figured I'd wait and give it to whoever the committee you referred it to.
I'll refer this to the Health and Ordinance Committee. And I see the ugly word annexation request, transitional solutions annexation request. What in the world is that?
Gentleman, Eric Paul.
I know Eric Paul, good
Yeah,
man.
I know him too.
26 acres adjacent to town
Whereabouts?
on Courthouse Road,
Yeah.
right
By the
before you
water-
get to the tower.
Big water tower, yeah.
26 acres, the town limit is his property line, I guess, on the same size as the tank, or the tower. And
Did he buy that recently? Cause there's 22 acres that,
he's owned it for some time, as long as I've
Eric
known
has
him.
had this thing about, at least about 10 years, I'd say.
He's owned it for a while.
Yeah, he's had this
As long
about
as
10
I've been
years.
knowing him, he's owned it.
are they on town water right now?
Town water, town sewer, and town electric,
Electric.
believe it or not.
So he wants,
He wants to be brought into town for two specific reasons. First of all, I'll tell you very quickly, is if he's in town, we can support him with grant applications and things that I can't
Okay.
do right now, be it tobacco commission or whatever. And the second thing is, his subdivision requirements would be much reduced inside town limits versus outside.
Because he doesn't have much frontage by looking at
Very little frontage,
No.
yeah.
well, his neighbors, there's a couple in Blackstone that live on Oak Street. He's a trucker. I'm ashamed of me forgetting his name.
I know you're talking about.
His
Lives in the Freyer house.
Kirsten and,
Kirsten Holmes and his name
is it Randy?
Randy.
Randy.
Randy Fristow.
Randy Fristow. I know they've had some plans to, he owns 22 acres, I guess past Mr. Paul. Well,
This is at the intersection of Maven Avenue
he's in town.
and Courthouse Road. He's
Never
in town.
mind, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll refer this to the, Health and Ordinance Committee for possible annexation, or I guess it'd be boundary adjustment if it's friendly.
Boundary adjustment, correct.
Very well, very well. Under Mayor's
How
Minute,
does that work if you do it?
believe it or not, folks,
Annexation.
I have nothing but goodwill and love to all.
Side too, or what?
And,
Love the color run.
what's that? Was there a color? I forgot how the color run did go well. It did go very. It was. Did DBI do well? I hope they did well. 'Cause the color run is. Let me tell you something. The color run is the start of something. It can be tweaked. It can be expanded. But there were 75 folks that started and finished that walk run event, and I think maybe if we could have it a little later. It kind of people hung around, then kind of left, but it was a good thing. And if DBI made money, then but it was.
I think there's some question on the start. There's some photos.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that.
Mayor joined us about halfway through.
It was not a time event, but the DJ was giving the times out, and
and the mayor printed in the paper the first three finished, and my brother finished fourth, and he didn't make the paper.
did he finish fourth? I owe Jonathan that. We'll make that to him.
If I may very quickly,
Yes,
under
yes.
police report, chief is not here. Chris is here for, if you have any questions. We did receive, chief received an email and forwarded it back to me on Friday the 14th. We did not receive a COPS grant for hiring that additional position. So it's in the budget, but we also have the grant in the budget
Right.
for like 3 years. We didn't get the grant. I think we're gonna be probably looking for some guidance about adding a position as the
Anticipate.
academy's only in January. And it may be, is there one in the mid-year?
Yes, it starts in July.
So we may have to have some conversations about what to do, but we did not receive a COPS grant.
Okay. So we're still fully staffed for us is now what the chief plus 11.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions of the police while we have them here? Before we get to citizen comment.
I swear, when I started, it was 15.
I know it was because we used to have Shields used to have 4 on duty on
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday nights.
I mean, we were fully staffed when I started over here, and I can't remember who won. We went to a 116 at one time, Unit 116.
You
I
did?
can't remember who that was.
Dwayne Sneed was 116.
Yeah.
Wasn't Dwayne Sneed 116?
You know, I think this is a far-fetched idea, but eventually it's gonna have to go back to that. With what's going on in Blackstone now, it's gonna have to be.
Well, what's going on? It's not so much Blackstone right now, but all the stuff around. If it's within 15 miles of you, it's in your community. The Bible Road stuff is heating back up again. The county's got a huge meth problem. The calls on the scanner are patient unresponsive. 9 times out of 10, that's a drug OD call. That's not being called in like that. Knock on wood. Sergeant Matthias, I know we've had some isolated incidents, but as far as thefts and vandalism and B&Es, we've been pretty lucky with everything going on around us.
I think that also we have a presence.
We have a presence.
So it
Good
curbs it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. This is the second opportunity for citizen comments. I see Mr. Michael Bagley with his hand raised.
Okay, for the good of the order, have 2 things. How are the pink slips? Have they dropped down under 300?
We've got them in our packet. Hold on a second.
Give me 1 second here, informational. There we go. So this shows you from last year, and then this is from this year, so it was 305.
298 in August. 274 back in January, which means we had a mild December.
So it also means there was a lot of COVID money paying for bills as well.
Right.
And thank you on that one. And the second thing, when we talk to the county about the old school building, can we throw blight in there? Can we throw safety in there? We're lucky that we don't have a lot of teenagers, because that could probably be there after our party house. You know, we're blessed that we don't have a lot of teenagers at this.
That used to be the two-story building. There used to be a lot of.
And there's
coming-
still a problem over there with kids. Take it from me. If you go over there late at night, or if you anytime, you find them kids out there. And my thing is, I always have said this ever since I've been on council. I'm scared one of those kids is gonna fall through that roof. Then who's gonna get the blame? That's my.
We'll be co-defendants with the school board.
Right.
We'll be
You know.
co-defendants.
That building been vacant like that over 50 years.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. It's been 50 years.
Thanks, Aaron.
You
Well,
remodel
some of
one high school, and you keeping another high school halfway somewhere in between torn down and dangerous.
But we
Rally
have,
some people for the school board?
Excuse me?
Can you rally some people to go to the school board and support us? And
They don't hear.
No problem.
They don't hear. They don't listen.
because that's the main problem. We're really, I mean, in
By
all honesty, we're
ourselves.
fixing somebody else's issue,
Right.
and it's costing our taxpayers, and that's really what the main debate for us up here is. But at the end of the day, it's
Yeah, baby, I know. I've talked to them. I've asked questions. Believe
well,
me.
2017,
You know,
Mr.
I'm
Bagley,
saying
we
something
had an
too.
actual
You know,
developer
they
who
spending
wanted to
$5,000
acquire
over there putting
the
security
two-story building, and then we went to the
windows and
school
all that
board,
shit. That's a waste of money.
and the only response
Don't
was,
care
well,
what you say.
you never know who's gonna live in apartments, you could have sex offenders. And I said, I encourage everyone who thinks that, go to your Virginia sex offender registry and look in Blackstone. There are sex offenders registered within 3/4 of a mile of that school right now. They live in homes. I mean, just, you know, that's that what if, I mean, I'm like Mr. Allman, anything we can get back on the tax rolls, is good, but we appreciate you, Mr. Bagley. You always raise good points. Any other questions? I see Mr. Chris Page, yes.
I was just saying, when you do meet with the school board, I mean, remind them, they're the ones with the $29 to $32 million budget. And they spend more than that every June, just trying to spend the rest of the budget more than $100,000.
They could throw in a little 130, 140 and demolish one of his buildings, couldn't they?
I know it's no problem to pack a school board here, we could do that, it's not an issue.
It's a good point. I think we'll have a meeting of goodwill soon with, a delegation from the school board or maybe the full boards. We'll let the town manager talk to Dr. Grimes about that. Any other citizen comments? We have 3 items for closed session tonight.
And would you like me to read them?
I
would.
I've got one question.
Yes.
Forest Drive, what is that, do we have a total of what that project costs?
See, the invoice about $10,000. I knew the box was gonna be 8, and I can pull the actual invoice, but I think it was
You
another.
thought that's Mr. Dooley's, right?
It does. That
I
box-
said, but that's Mr. Dooley's. That's the property, her
I
property.
guess that's who it is. I assumed it is.
Yeah.
That's the lady we talked to on the street committee. The
Yeah.
lady we talked about.
Right, okay.
Where will you pull that from?
I don't know. Maybe out of the.
I mean, we
VDOT
have got, and I'm
funding,
not down you,
know.
Philip, but we have got, before we do something, we have got to figure out where the hell it's gonna come from.
I can also tell you, guys, we don't usually do this stuff.
I 100% agree.
Do we?
100% agree.
Do we know exactly where it's gonna come from? It's gonna come from, all these things will come from cash on hand, okay? Cash that's in the position, or if it's associated or acceptable, we'll try to use VDOT money as much as possible.
I mean, 10 grand in the grand scheme of the town's budget isn't much, but in my eyes, 10 grand's a lot of money. A whole lot of money. I mean, you figure that's an eighth of a home to be built for somebody.
I just met with another property owner, they're gonna come to the street committee and ask for tax relief. So these things can come, we need to look at that committee or that policy. If we're gonna eliminate the policy, which requires the property owner to pay it, you know, it's kinda waived on Forest Drive, so
But a part of that was on town property, am
all
I,
of it is on town.
on town property.
But the town
Agreed, but the
policy
policy
was,
is that they pay for it.
Even if it's on town property?
Absolutely.
even on town property.
There's a lot of open ditches in town that everybody would love to have piped in, but it can't be done.
I just, let me know. I don't think this is a good. solution.
You open up a can of worms.
Yeah, we did when we
I'm
did the
telling
project
you, you
for 10
open up a
grand.
can of worms when it's on town property and you say you're not gonna take care of it.
Well, then that goes into the fact of where we're trying to figure out, where does town property truly start? Does it start on the side of the road?
Every
Where's
street's
the right-
different.
But I know
Every
if I
street's
was
different.
if it was on me and you told me it was on town property, I would expect the town to take care of it.
Correct, but what happens if, and I'm gonna use a big one, we're talking about South Main Street, what if my parents came up and said, town, I want you to pipe in my ditch in front of Clay's Garden Center. Technically, what we just did on Forest Drive, it should be free to the Clay's Garden Center. And the town has to do it. It's this small one is, yes, it's small. It's an easy fish. But what happens when that big one comes up is what my concern is.
For years, it was, you buy the pipe.
You buy the pipe, town does the labor.
Correct.
And that's not it may not be the world's worst policy. They work for so long.
I think both ends aren't suiting everybody, so maybe something.
There's a medium,
that
exactly.
suits nobody is the best
Correct.
solution.
My only, Mr. Miller, I exercised the one where when it used to be you pay for the pipe, the town put it in at my home. And all it does is it says, all right, look, the town's gonna do you a favor as long as you do the town a favor as well. Put some skin in the game. That's all it is.
Right.
It's not,
And it's on a budget plan too, right?
and yeah, as
Because I
long
know
as
a
it's
few
not
people that
gimme,
said-
gimme,
right.
gimme, I'm for it. Cause it's improving the town, absolutely.
A curb and gutter and all the pipes, like I said, I got a $6,000 lien in my house for the curb and gutter on the side, and I'd love to have it on the front.
Ask Lonnie, I'm sure he enjoys having a closed ditch across from his house much better now than that nasty ditch it used to be. So
It sounds bad.
it's just
Don't charge
gotta have skin in the game.
interest. Don't charge interest on the liens next council, please.
Yeah.
Joyce is like, let the girls worry about that. I'm like, I don't want to do that to my daughters. Don't worry, let them
We'll
worry.
change that just for you.
That's right. You remember, I asked for interest rates to be applied to liens, and council decided against it. The town manager, you said there were liens placed in the '80s where properties were sold, the town never got paid. When you place a lien on a property and record it properly, when that property is sold, the town gets made. What do we got outstanding liens right now in town of Blackstone? Over 50, 60 grand?
As long as the titles are certain.
I'm $6,000.
Somebody need to know what they're doing with the title search there.
That's the issue. That's the issue.
Yeah.
But the heck of it is, it
You don't
is
do title
recorded
search,
at the courthouse.
right, you ain't gonna get it.
Not recorded in the courthouse.
They are. The liens are recorded at the courthouse, and Dick Mooneyham's house has been sold twice,
Someone didn't do a title
and
search
someone
correct.
didn't pick it up in title.
Well,
It is recorded
the
at the
title
court.
searcher did that.
Yeah.
Either title search or attorney, or closing attorney.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You gotta have somebody.
any other citizen comments? We have 3 items for closed session. I think one involves the town square. Don't we need to be totally upfront with people? I see we got prospective business industries at the town square. All right.
I have
Yeah,
a couple of items. I'm not
oh, yeah,
sure.
go ahead, Mr. Almond.
Have we put the third-party HR consultant out to bid yet? We voted to do that, didn't we?
Have we voted to,
We voted, now,
it's in the budget to do it?
I know
Yeah, but
things
has
have
it,
things have
has it been put out?
busy here, so I just wanna touch base on it.
No problem, we'll put it in.
Yeah.
We voted to it?
we did, we did.
Yeah, we did vote for it.
Last month of the month
thing is
before.
the business license audit.
Got a question about that. We bid it out once. We went through the whole EVA process or everything, and then Tessie took it, or you got a procurement department, you gotta tell me specifically what are we bidding out, because we've already bid it out once. So I don't know, has Tessie officially rejected those first ones that we put on EVA? 'Cause
Well,
I
why don't we
can't-
get her to somebody contact her tomorrow to find out what's
We're
going on.
gonna talk to her tonight on
and,
speakerphone, I
yeah,
think.
She
Okay.
can get back on
Yeah,
top of
because
it.
what
Add that
was
to the
happening,
closed
she-
session.
She was
We
bringing,
really need
Call it
yeah.
before we
clarification on
close.
that,
Yeah,
because
she was
it's
bringing her
been
people
posted
in.
on the state website, and you have an open RFP as it is, nobody has told me to reject it, it's still setting on EVA and state procurement, you gotta follow.
Yeah, we need to move on that badly.
We
We need to,
we certainly wanna take care of it.
yep, good question.
The
Jim.
last thing we'll
Yes.
add was and maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't remember seeing anything from the business license audit stuff. Did we ever?
How is that going? We had some people who hadn't paid business license 2 or 3 years. What's going on with that?
You know, I'd have to ask Brittany, I know there were several people on that list, I think it has improved. I think she did some, letters that have been sent out. I think some of the offenders that we were surprised that were on the list have paid, but I don't have an exact update. What she told you something.
Could we have a report at the next meeting, a written report? Just for how many are outstanding, how long they are, and how many have paid since we
I
first?
think she was gonna use that new firm to help
She-
with the business license.
She sent out letters, and I think she got a good response from the letters, and those that didn't respond were going to the.
The new firm, you're referring to this,
Tax.
delinquent
Tax.
tax, delinquent tax. We're not, dumb question, I should know this. We're not doing Mr. Elliott anymore?
Correct.
Correct, okay.
And
It's a-
then she's also been, getting the girls to help her looking in newspapers, because people are advertising their businesses in your newspaper and don't have a business license, so she's using that also as a step to.
It's a wonderful
send
tool.
letters to
It's a
people.
very valuable tool.
Thank you for your newspaper.
Just trying to do our part, girl. All right, we need a motion to go into closed session. If you could, Madam Clerk, if you could, thank you all for coming.
First, and I'll read this.
Yes, it is to discuss prospective business or industry / town square. It is to discuss personnel in the street department. and legal matters, which means consultation with our town
Nash
attorney.
made a motion.
Yes, so
Who is, Mr. Allman is second to go in closed session. All in favor say aye. We stand in closed session.
Okay, so no, this will be for the discussion,
bit behind.
consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, discipline, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body which with personnel. For prospective industry, it will be discussion concerning prospective business or industry, or the expansion of an existing business or industry, where no previous announcement has been made of the business or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community. And then under legal matters, consultation with legal counsel, and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation, where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body. So those are the three headings, and we made the motion, and so I will now go into closed session.
We'll now go